Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pursuit Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Engineer, and on today's episode, we have pro staff member Bryan Slaton, also known as the Creek Crawler on YouTube and Instagram. We're also joined by Hunter Moss, fishing and marine purchasing specialist here at Vance Outdoors. Bryan is a local angler that prides himself on being able to catch fish in creeks, rivers, and spillways all across the state. We discuss how he got started, the ups and downs of creating content for YouTube, his relationship with Nikko baits, and how recent technology advancements in fishing may change the game forever. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bryan Slaton. All right, man, we have a full table today. I'm pretty stoked. Finally get some guests in the studio to talk all things fishing today. Let's go ahead around the table real fast and start introducing everybody. Hunter, go ahead, my man.
Hey, guys. Hunter Moss here, one of our fishing and marine buyers for Vance Outdoors.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bryan. I'm the Creek Crawler on YouTube, content creator, avid angler.
And, of course, Ben on the switches.
Man behind the switches. So
Tickling the ivories.
Tickling the ivories, yes, sir. So Ben Jamin is what we commonly refer to him as around here. So this is going to be a special episode. Bryan is what likes to call me what would you refer me to as a meat chucker?
Meat slinger.
Meat slinger, lead slinger. I'm basically, give me a Shakespeare rod and a worm and I'll throw it into the pond.
Rookie.
A rookie, yeah. Hey, it is what it is.
Hey, it all goes towards the greater good.
Right, I'm catching fish. But I'm nowhere near an expert when it comes to fishing, and the guys that we have around the table certainly are. So today's going to be special. We're going to pass the torch over to Ben and kind of let him head up this conversation. And, sir, it's all yours, man.
All right. So first off, Bryan, I just want to get a little introduction where you started, where you grew up, how you started fishing, where you're at now, just general basic info.
Yeah, definitely, man. From Southwest Ohio. Born and raised on the Great Miami River, pretty much in the Middletown, Hamilton area. Started out fishing as a bait collector for my father and all his friends.
That's pretty cool.
That was basically my mission.
It's like cast nets or kick seining or?
No, creek fishing for creek chubs and shiners and stuff because he was a big flathead angler. Mm-hmm, so I collected all the bait. When he got home from work, I had buckets full of bluegill, creek chubs, striped shiners, what have you, for his fishing endeavors that went on at late in the night. And that's basically where I started. And fast forward to today, I am an avid creek and river angler, and it hasn't really left my blood since. So
that's cool. So we've got Hunter here at the table. How did you guys meet?
Okay, so a little bit of a long story here. So back when I worked at Field & Stream like a couple years ago, I had people coming in and asking for Nikko baits. And I'm like, yeah, here's Nikko hooks, Nikko weights. They're like, no, this is a bait company. And I'm like, oh, well, no, I haven't ever heard of them. Then I had more people come in asking for Nikko Helgamites. So I finally looked them up. And when I started in this buyer position, even down at working at our Lebanon location, I had people asking for Nikko baits. So I've always intrigued by them. I definitely wanted to look into carrying them here at Vance. And we went to ICAST. It was my first year at ICAST. And Larry and I are doing our walk around. And I see Nikko baits, and I got pretty excited. I'm like, Larry, we got to see this. And Larry's, when he goes, he's like full game mode. He just wants to go and see everything. Mm-hmm. So he don't slow down much. So I had to kind of pull him over. And we started talking to, I think, Scott.
Yeah, Scott.
And he saw our tags that we were from Ohio, and he pulled Bryan over. And we just talked for a while. We got some information from Nikko. I got Bryan's Instagram, I believe, and we kept in contact. And we did a small initial order of Nikko. And when we were there at the booth, they had all their baits in like a little tank, and we were testing them out. And Larry really liked the tadpoles. Now, I was maybe a little skeptical of it. I don't know. I was like, man, a tadpole? We sold like every single one within the first week of having them because people were drop shotting them up on Erie and just tearing them up. But yeah, man, their baits have just kind of flown off the shelves, and we keep introducing new products by them, and it's been great. So that's how we met. We met at ICAST. We kept in contact over Instagram, and Bryan kind of helped me pick out some stuff for our orders too. And he also made a post on his YouTube and did a giveaway. And man, I tell you, we probably had 10 to 15 people.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
absolutely.
I saw the video too. Yeah.
Creek Crawler. I saw Creek Crawler's video. You guys got Nikko. And yeah, man, it's pretty cool. So that's the story behind us.
Cool.
No Tinder or anything like that.
Only fish.
Yeah.
So where real fast, since I'm not too familiar, where is ICAST? I mean, and if someone was to kind of be like, what would
ICAST is the big fishing expo.
It's like the Super Bowl of fishing.
The Super Bowl of fishing. And if
it's
in Florida, right?
If I'm not mistaken, it's not open to the public, right?
No, ICAST is like this event where all these companies come together to display their products for retail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they display it to us as buyers, and that's where every new product comes out, and it's all over social media.
Yep.
So like a couple years ago, when I wasn't in this position where I could go, I mean, when ICAST was going, I was all over my phone seeing new products and stuff like that.
So a normal person couldn't just walk in there. You have to be a retailer.
You have to be a dealer or a retailer.
Or a media.
Yeah. So
it's like SHOT Show for fishing.
Yes.
Yeah.
SHOT Show.
It's down in Orlando. It's kind of cool. Like the first day when you go, they have like on the water, so you can go test kayaks, cast a new reel,
new baits,
try new baits.
That was really cool.
So man, it was an amazing experience, and I look forward to going every single year. So that's ICAST.
Now we just talked about Nikko baits. Bryan, what's your involvement with Nikko?
So where to begin? So as a creek angler, you have to kind of be a student of macroinvertebrates, right? These are creatures that live in the aquatic ecosystems here in Ohio, that these predatory fish that we like to chase, that's their main diet. I was watching videos on YouTube just like anybody else. I was like, what's something different? And I came across a YouTube channel, Creek Fishing Adventures. He's in Tennessee, and he was showing the hellgrammite. And this was a couple years ago now, but I was like, man, that's something really different. I don't think a lot of fish around here have seen. Got some hellgrammites, and it's just been a snowball since then. Just tearing fish up left and right on these hellgrammites, and I started testing other baits for Nikko, posting them online, making videos about them on my YouTube channel, and they reached out to me. They were like, hey, Bryan, we really enjoy your content. We'd love to offer you like a pro staff position on our team. We'd love to have you on board. And we started that relationship, and it's really
awesome.
It's really changed my trajectory for sure.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, to have that backing.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Just to start off with just trying them out and then have them reach out to you. That's awesome.
It was when I got that text message that day, I was like, no way. Because when you make content and stuff, and when you use products, that's like our dream, right? Mm-hmm. It is for me, for companies to reach out and dig what we're doing on the internet, you know. And it was a really cool experience. I'm glad.
Well, the biggest thing is too, a company that you actually use and believe in.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's one of the things. Like, you want to be in a company that you're confident in, and then that just, you know, when you're able to have that experience, it just, a lot of people like to follow.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not, people are going to catch on the fact that
you have to be authentic.
Yeah,
and that's the thing.
I think they saw that in you for sure. You know, you definitely love their baits, and it seems like it was a good fit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, I'm excited to grow with them.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. So I'll tell you guys, man, some of those baits they have are awesome. Not just for creek fishing, but for everything. I'm impressed with their stuff. Most of their stuff is very similar to Z-Man, the Last Tech.
So there's a difference between Z-Man and Nikko. It's a food surgical grade plastic. When it comes to Nikko, it's a biodisintegratable, so it's really healthy for the environment. If fish were to eat the baits and get them in their digestive system, they can pass them.
That's cool.
So they don't swell in the stomach of fish. So that was another cool thing about it, because as a student for conservation, that's one of the things I look for in a bait, is something that's going to be healthy for the environment, because at the end of the day, you're going to lose baits in the creek. And it's just one of those things that kind of eases your mind a little bit.
Definitely.
And the amount of detail they have in their baits too. Well, number one, they last 100 fish, more probably. And number two, like on their waxies, you could put them under a microscope and you could see the tentacle, the little pinchers.
The little legs on the waxworm.
And then I was talking with Scott on the phone one day about their winnies, or the winnows.
The winnows, yep.
And the amount of thought and if you look at that bait, there's the cross sections on like a normal swim bait are just straight up and down. On these, it is.
You have to look at a Nikko bait through a microscope, to be honest with you. Like there's so many different little things about it.
Right. And he was telling me like the upper head section is thicker because that's where a fish normally targets its bait. The cross section on the rivets in it are all different directions, so it displaces more water. The tail actually has tabs you can trim off if you don't want to displace as much water with it. I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff.
The heads on the swim baits, definitely like the first, I think, quarter inch of the bait, they're meant for you just to cut off if you want.
Yeah.
And then it sits flush with some of your jig heads and swim baits. And,
trailer them and stuff like that.
Your underspins and whatnot.
Yep. Yeah, it's awesome stuff, man. I've been impressed with it, and I know our customers have too. So that's awesome.
I want to try the leeches and
the
Helgermite.
Yeah.
They look good.
Dude, the new color they came out with, Magma, the Magma leech and the Chartreuse leech.
Yeah.
There's going to be some bronze on the bank this
You know what I was
year.
thinking about doing? So we're taking a trip up to St. Clair. I want to put those leeches on one of the new Ned Rig heads that are football heads. I think that's going to be dirty.
I'd love to. I want to see an EWG football head.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Come on, dude. You know that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I have to have that football head with the EWG is just changed. Like the durability is great as it is, but when I can go to a creek and not lose a Helgermite to a snag or lose a leech to a snag, the value is just insane.
Yep.
That would be huge because then you could throw it in lay downs and not have to worry about getting caught up. And,
But that leech is cool because you could Ned rig it, you can drop shot it, you can Texas rig it.
A lot of that leech is phenomenal.
You could even use it as like a trailer on a spinner bait if you wanted, or a chatterbait.
Chatterbait works.
Yeah. You could do.
A lot of guys use it. So instead of rigging it flat, you turn it on its side. So when that chatterbait's swimming, it's got that tail, that leech tail on it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of uses. They're very versatile.
I'm excited to try them.
Yeah. We got those new colors coming.
Did you get Magma and Chartreuse?
Yes, sir, we did.
That's a limited edition drop. You know that.
We got a bunch of each one.
Oh, smoked.
Hey, for the show.
In March?
Yeah.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah.
So the show you're talking about is
our in-house fishing and boat show.
Yep.
So this is going to be March 11th through the 13th.
It'll be this upcoming weekend.
Yes.
As we release this podcast.
Yes. So a lot of exciting things happening there. A lot of sales. We're going to have MLF Pro Adrian Avina, MLF Pro Brandon Coulter. We have all of our pro staff guys coming. We got the Creek Crawler. He's going to do a meet and greet. Josh Moeller, Jason Plant. We have Doug Stewart, a local angler.
You got Dougie coming?
Yeah, you know Doug?
Oh, yeah.
So there's going to be seminars Saturday and Sunday. Doug's going to do one. Adrian, Brandon, Jason, they're all doing seminars. First 50 kids in the door get a free rod. So
oh, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's going to be I'm really, really looking forward to it. You know, hopefully sell a couple boats and let the people meet these pros, meet our pro staff, and it's just going to be fun, man. Just sit there and talk fishing all day.
This will be the first public meetup I've ever done.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited for that because everyone's always like, we want to hang out, talk fishing, and this is going to be the opportunity.
It's a great opportunity for it. And like he said, man, we got all these new Nikko colors coming, and we're going to have a good variety of Nikko baits. So.
And don't we run a sale, some type of sale during the show? Or
yeah, off the top of my head, I can't name it, but I know there's going to be.
Just keep an eye out for an ad.
Yeah, we've got ads coming out for it.
So we touched on YouTube just a little bit, and congrats to 4,000 subs, by the way.
Thanks,
That's awesome.
It's crazy.
So
it's awesome.
Where did you get started with that? How long have you been doing YouTube?
So when I was in the Navy, 2012 to 2016, I had a GoPro, and I would take it to like the coral reefs and stuff and film fish. Wow. So I got some old videos on my channel like 5 or 6 years ago, of just little stuff I was messing around with my camera. I got home from the Navy, and I was like, man, I really need to start recording my fishing adventures. And that's basically where it started. About 2019, I really got serious about it and started trying to upload videos as much as possible, going to these different creeks and rivers in Ohio. Any chance I could bring the camera out. Some of my friends don't agree with it, but I brought the camera out, you know. It's a way to document, and kind of like a diary. It's like a live diary that I can look back on.
Yep.
And YouTube just stores it for free. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and it got you a sponsorship.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like...
And that's the thing, man, when you're creating content like that and stuff that's people are able to learn from and bring something home and share that knowledge with their kids, get them into fishing. That's one of the goals at the end of the day.
Obviously, you said some of your friends don't agree with it. I can probably understand why for some regard, but what kind of challenges do you experience? I mean, obviously there's extra setup. I mean, you're doing primarily what, GoPro? Yeah, I just have a couple GoPros, extra one on standby just in case I've ruined GoPros. Oh, sure. Do you have any, I mean, so your friends, they obviously just don't want to blow out your spots.
Exactly, and that's understandable.
Sure.
I've kind of learned my ways around trying to conceal some spots, you know.
So there's
fish like to congregate, and it's, you know, they say 90% of the fish is in 10% of the water, and as an angler who's been fishing for probably over 20 years now, that's rung true for me, especially in rivers, spillways, dams. They're always going to be just those hubs for diversity, walleye, smallmouth bass, largemouth bass. It's just where they congregate, and I'm trying to move forward to be conscious about it, because, I mean, I have gotten some slack in the past, and I understand where these people are coming from. And it's one of those double-edged swords. I want to make content. I want to get people outdoors. I want to grow the industry, because at the end of the day, the more people we have out there paying into fishing, the more conservation projects are getting done.
Exactly.
And if you don't do it, somebody else could do it. You know, it's not going to make a difference.
No.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, it's really hard to make everybody happy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
sure.
always going to be somebody.
Always.
You know, there's a lot of people that love the videos. There's a lot of people that are like, well, he's blowing out my spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, watch the one spillway video. I won't say where it was.
I was going to say,
Ben and I knew exactly where it was, but it's also because we live there.
Yeah.
You know
and
see,
and that's the thing I have to take into account, and a lot of people don't. I learned my lesson. I'm going to try my best in the future.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I mean, the only people that are really, truly hurt is a bad word to say for that, but upset would be. I mean, your YouTube, 4,000 people, those aren't all in Ohio.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I got people messaging me from Australia. I'm like, oh, cool, that's pretty cool. But
yeah, I mean, you know, a Hocking River is a Hocking River. It's long, you know what I mean? And so it's...
They'd really have to work hard to find your spot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's another
public.
thing is
public.
Public.
It's public. Anybody can fish
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
So,
and man, we can get into a lot of it's a rabbit hole for sure about, like,
definitely.
I call it social media pressure.
Yeah.
And it definitely plays a part, but it's like at the end of the day, you're like looking at who's going to use this information and what are they going to do with it.
Sure.
There's people that are going to be there catch and release. You know, there's maybe people going there catching and keeping stuff.
Yeah.
The river and the resources that we have are plentiful.
And it's for everybody.
They resupply fish, you know, spawn, have babies.
Sure.
But yeah, social media pressure on specific areas and stuff, and trying to navigate a way around filming to where that I'm not exposing those areas to the masses, because people are going to choose the easy route at the end of the day. And when I go on to a river, you're not going to really tell. And if you do, you're probably a local that knows the river. But when I'm filming at like a dam or something,
I'm not sure.
There's millions of people.
if you're walking 30, 40 yards into a river, and it's water with trees.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And just about every river in Ohio is the same exact river. So you'd have to really try hard to really blow that up.
But I try my best, man. That's one thing we have to do as content creators, is take into people's, you know, opinions about that, and you have to be honest and go forward. So
I mean, like Hunter said, you can't please everybody.
And
at the
you
end
can
of the day,
absolutely, if I get 90 messages of people encouraging me to do it and saying, hey, man, you're doing a good job, you've helped me and my family learn how to fish, that's going to heavily outweigh the 2 people that are mad because
100%.
I showed a space.
That's my spot.
Yeah.
dude, I personally love the spillway video with the corn.
Oh,
I knew from the thumbnail, I knew right where it was. I'm like, oh man! And the carp you were catching in there is just awesome. What they need to do is
I know which one you're talking about now. Absolutely.
They need to throw those carp in the lake and get rid of some of that grass in there.
Man, yeah.
So moving on with the YouTube creation stuff, like let's say any one of us wanted to start a YouTube channel. Is there a gear list that you would suggest? And we
try to keep it simple.
Okay.
I'm a one-man show when I go out there. Sometimes I'll have a friend with me and I can get a different angle or kind of use somebody else's assistance. But as someone who does it as a solo, most often than not, try to keep it simple. Mm-hmm. Make it simple because if you try to make it complicated, it gets intimidating.
Sure.
So I run around with a chest camera, a GoPro Hero 4. It's an old camera. Mm-hmm. I love the old ones for some reason because the newer cameras, like the GoPro 10s, GoPro 9s, they got their downfalls. But like I mentioned before the podcast, I've ruined GoPros. And I do it often. Like I've ruined 2. And I'll be like wading in the creek and I'll hit a deep pocket. The camera's done. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it's a 4 or a 10. If you get them fully submerged, they're done. Mm-hmm. So I try to keep it on the budget side, and that's another thing is try to keep it budget as possible because I'm going to ruin it. Sure. It's like when I buy something, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to ruin that. It's just a matter of time. But just keep it simple. One camera. Batteries are extremely important. I have a ton of batteries on me. When I'm fishing 10-hour days through the creek, I go through every one of them. Mm-hmm. I get like an hour per battery or something like that.
Okay. And then, like, as far as editing software, do you have I
have an editing software called Wondershare Filmora 9, if you're familiar with that. I bought it like 3 years ago before I even started. I was like, I need something that's going to be as a lifetime. It was a lifetime subscription. I think it was like $90. Mm-hmm. I just did that purchase right off the bat, and I was like, it's working for me so far.
Yeah,
it's pretty easy and simple to understand.
It goes to show too, like you've clearly found a niche in that space, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, with 4,000 subs, I mean, clearly people are interested in what you have. But it also goes to show you don't need an R5 or a cinema camera or a Premiere Pro or all this stuff to make content. At the end of the day, you just need passion to be out there.
Write a story. Yep. That's how. Whenever I go make a video, I keep it simple, like I said, with small gear, light gear. And then when my editing process comes along, I keep it simple like I'm writing a story. There's a beginning, there's an intro, there's body, and there's an end, conclusion. Yeah, that's how I go about it.
Exactly.
So would you say that editing's the hardest part of it all?
Catching fish is the hardest part.
Because I know
editing is easy. Yeah. I can do a video in an hour.
Okay, because I know so many people that have GoPros and cameras, and they'll go out and film for hours.
And they got all this footage and don't know nothing to do with it.
It's just footage.
That's the thing. That's one of the things when it comes down to the editing process and you're kind of in a chaotic manner of filming. When I go out, I have a process that I'm going to be like, I'm doing this, 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 and this. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I'll flag all the videos that have all that in there. And when I go to my computer post-editing, I just drag those videos on my laptop, and it's super easy. And then people got all this footage, which is a shame because everyone's got awesome footage to share. Sure. Everybody wants to watch it. Yeah. But that's another thing that overwhelms you. You're like, you're at home. You're like, I got 8 hours of footage I got to go through. And you're like, you're lost, and then it just piles up and
looking
up and
at
up
Ben
and
over
up.
here.
Yeah.
All the stuff that we've done for work, terabytes and terabytes of data on our drive.
It's crazy.
Dude, I can imagine. I got like 3 or 4 videos on standby that I have to get to. So
yeah. Do you feel a lot of pressure for size, like size of fish? Do you feel a lot of pressure in terms of trying to have create?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I want to relate to more people catching a variety of fish instead of trophy fish.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah. Nice.
Not everybody's going to go to the creek and catch 19, 20-inch smallmouth.
It's not possible.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens to me. I do it. I luck into them every now and then. But it's like, what am I trying to achieve when I'm making a video, do I romanticize it and just keep big fish in there?
Yeah.
Or do I just be realistic and be like, hey, I caught a 10-incher, a 12-incher, and holy smokes, I had just caught a 19.
And that's what I love about the channel. It's real.
Yeah, it's real. And, and I think we can think like a lot of mainstream media is kind of headed that way too. If you
that's
look
unfortunate.
at like we just had Billy. Well, even on the flip side, for the good, if you will, your outdoor channels, your pursuit channels, they're always going to have guys catching huge fish or shooting big deer or whatever have you. But I feel like with the emergence of meat eater and like that whole process,
huge meat eater fan.
Yeah, I mean that's really it's really changed the way I feel like people are looking at things, fishing, hunting, whatever have you. It's just like it is what it is. Like it's real, and it's on. I mean, they go entire episodes without even catching anything.
And that's one of those things you have to be cognizant of is romanticizing trophy.
Yeah,
trophy hunting, trophy fishing. Because when you inspire these kids to go out here and fish or hunt, they're going to expect a trophy every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
And that's one of the things that's going to kick them out of the industry so quick, because they're going to go out there and be like, wow, I didn't kill this 12-point buck, or I didn't catch this 4-pound smallmouth in the creek.
Because, exactly.
You know what I mean?
The things you're seeing a pro angler do aren't the same things that a 12-year-old's going to do on a creek or a pond or whatever have you. So
exactly,
you got to be careful. Yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to grow the sport.
Yep.
And so if you're
everybody pays in through the Dingell-Johnson Act, Pittman-Robertson.
Yep.
When they're going out there buying their license, they're creating access. They're creating our fisheries in Ohio.
Yep.
Romanticizing and catching trophies all the time. If I wanted to do that on my channel, I could just edit, just put all the big fish on there. But that's not who I'm trying to attract. I'm trying to attract the anglers in there that are going to have your average day on the creek and catch 2 or 3 smallmouth, 10 to 15 inchers. That's an awesome fish.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Sweet.
So, have you ever had any issues with YouTube?
Like
taking down videos or anything?
No.
So
like some of my older videos, like some of the music I had on there from my app, I guess the editing software, they got rid of some of that music. So now they're flagging my videos like, hey, you got this
copyright strike.
Crazy copyright song on there from like 4 years ago. And I'm just like, I just go back and it just gives you the option to get rid of it from your video.
I feel like the fishing industry usually doesn't get as long
the fishing industry is a little bit. Yeah. It doesn't have the gore. I mean, you got your fillets and stuff.
Sure.
But hunting, you're taking a life. And I guess that's like I don't know why, but that's frowned upon on the YouTube industry. But
sure, there's a lot of people that struggle with that. I mean, and so we're actually going to have a guest that talks about White Bone Creations. I don't know if you've ever listened to some of his, or watched some of his stuff, but we'll have him on. He's going to talk about that next week. But yeah, I feel like the fishing, the whole thing of like, do fish have nerves or do fish have feelings or whatever have you? I think that kind of helps dilute it a little bit. People don't care about things that don't have fur on it. It seems like
eyelashes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It looks like my teddy bear. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
All right, everyone, we hope you're enjoying the conversation so far, but we need to take a quick break to mention our 20th annual boat and fishing show that we're hosting at our Hebron store this weekend. The show runs Friday, March 11th through Sunday, the 13th. And not only will you be able to meet our pro staff, but we will also be hosting multiple seminars with professional anglers like Adrian Avina and Brandon Coulter. Also, the first 50 kids through the door will receive a free fishing rod. For more information, visit vanceoutdoors.com. That's Vance, VANCE, outdoors.com.
So let's say you're planning a video or you're planning to go fish a new spot. Do you e-scout? Do you use like Google Earth or an app or anything?
That's a vital piece of scouting is using Google Earth. I'm a huge Google Earth person. I use apps to make sure that I'm first off legal in most cases. If I'm fishing my buddy's areas and stuff or his property, don't need that. But I use some apps that tell me that I'm in public lands. That's first and foremost is extremely important. And then you can always go and ask landowners to go fish the creek or the river. 9 times out of 10, they'll be okay with it. I've had people, not be okay with it, and that's understood. But definitely e-scouting, Google Earth, satellite imagery is huge to success because you're able to look at those big rivers through a microscope with Google Earth, and you can pinpoint those different locations on a river or a creek. Like there's a big boulder over here, there's some lay down over here, and yeah, they'll change over time with the rivers, but when you find like old bridge pilings that are collapsed over, like those things aren't really going to change. So that's some of the tools I use for sure is Google Earth satellite.
What's the app that you use, the paid app? Is it paid? You didn't say that.
I have the Onyx app.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you can also go to your local auditor's office and you can be like, hey, I want to go fish here. And they'll be like, all right, this is this person's property. And they'll give you the information.
That's a good tip.
So the auditor's office is definitely a resource you could use locally.
Yeah.
If it's free. Mm-hmm. So, and that's where they get all their information from.
That's the other cool thing about Onyx too. I mean, not to promote their product too much, but finding that landowner information is vital.
Yeah.
Because like, if I want to get into that spot, there's their name potentially. Yeah. For the most part, and then you can just pull it up on the auditor's office or use the auditor's website to pull that up and reach out to them.
And I've used the auditor's office to defend my fishing expeditions, and people coming out here like, no, that's my property. I'm like, no, the auditor's office says otherwise. Where's your deed to your property and stuff like that. I've gotten into many of occasions. But you want to make everyone happy, so if someone's like getting super mad, then I'll just leave.
That's probably
no,
best.
Sure. Yeah. It's not worth the confrontation.
No, absolutely not.
So let's do a little gear rundown. I know you just got a kayak, right?
Well, recently? I'm on the market. Hunter just shot me over a text message about something they got.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna have to do some research.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've kind of made my decision. But now that he's thrown me this Pelican kayak from Vance, I'm gonna check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing with kayaks. It's like a shoe. You got to go look at it, do some research. But
yeah. So, how would your gear differ if you were wading as opposed to? Do you have what you decided what you want to put on a kayak if you get one?
I'm going to try to stay away from a lot of electronics because I think my fishing intuition is what's got me this far. And I think if I rely on technology, I'm going to kind of be dependent on it, I guess, if that makes sense.
If the batteries run out?
Out. If the thing about fishing is if you keep it simple, it becomes a lot more fun. And adding those electronics and different aspects, for me, it just adds a lot of things that you have to keep up with. And then all of a sudden it becomes a chore. You got to charge all these batteries and use this different technology, which I'm not against it. By no means, Hunter, I'm not against technology. But for people in this life scope, and that's why I creek and river fish. If you start out as a creek angler, I feel like you could catch fish anywhere because you're looking at a miniature river and you can take that applied knowledge from there and apply the same thing to the river. Like when I go catch a creek smallmouth out of a small tributary to the Great Miami River and looking at the ecosystem and how water moves the landscape and what fish prefer to do, what structures fish like, you can take that and go to a big river and do the same thing.
If I was to come up to you and say, and Hunter, preferably items that we sell at Vance Outdoors. That's a shout out for you, Hunter.
Thanks.
But if I was getting ready to set up, to get into this, obviously, I fish for bass or bluegill and stuff at my own pond, whatever have you. What kind of kit would you suggest for someone? Maybe it's just getting into creek fishing, or getting into wading. What kind of gear? If someone were to say, "Hey, take me shopping," what would you put them in?
Definitely. With all the social media, you got your podcast, your YouTube content. It's become real easy for people to access this kind of knowledge. So I've been fishing for 20 plus years now. I'm able to, through my trial and error, make somebody be successful extremely fast.
Sure. Yeah.
So if someone was to come in and be like, "Hey, Bryan, can you take us through the aisles and hook us up with an awesome creek setup?" And with me, that creek setup is the same rod I'm going to take on the river and be successful. So I'm going to go ahead and tell someone to grab a 610 medium extra fast. I'm going to have someone grab a 2500 series reel. Got enough line on there. Going to probably have you get 8 to 10 pound braid. I'm going to probably have you get also 8 to 10 pound fluorocarbon. So that's like the gear setup, just the rod, the line, the reel.
In terms of just your budget too, right?
And just budget, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with all these companies coming out. As technology advances, a bunch of this stuff gets a lot cheaper.
Sure.
Quality stuff too. But you can definitely, depending on budget, and that's another thing is the budget. Budget's extremely important, and you can be successful on a budget. And that's another thing people don't think is like you see everybody with all this fancy gear. You don't necessarily have to have that to catch fish.
Yeah.
Right.
You can go out there with just a one rod, one reel, and the line. And as long as you got some, Nikko baits or Helgramites on there, you're gonna catch fish.
There you go.
You could that same setup you're talking about. You could spend $400, or you could spend $80.
Yeah.
It all depends on, and you'll learn once you get more into fishing. You get personal preferences on brand of rod.
Absolutely.
Brand of
There's
reel.
tons of trial and error you go through.
So talk about your preferences on your brands.
So I've been fishing Daiwa for the past couple years.
Yeah.
I started out ugly sticks in the creek.
Yes, sir.
Everyone, I don't know anybody that doesn't start out with an ugly stick.
That's literally, I have
You
ugly
still got the ugly stick.
I have.
That's all Jordan uses.
That's all I use. Ugly stick and my kid's Frozen Princess rod.
Hey, I've caught some huge fish on the little Snoopy rods when I was a kid. But yeah, like as you get more into angling and more in depth, you try to find things that, one, fit your budget, and two, make your experience a little bit more comfortable. The Daiwa rods I use, the Daiwa reels, the Daiwa Kage is what I use right now, the 2500 Kage. Usually spooled up in 10-pound braid to like a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader.
What kind of braid?
I like Power Pro.
Power Pro.
Super slick.
Yeah.
Super slick.
What connecting knot do you use?
Double uni. So here's the thing. I'm new to the braid, to be honest with you. I've only been using it for about a year now, but it's completely changed my angling experience.
How long is your leader?
Depending on the water clarity.
Okay.
So if I'm fishing the river, you can have 2 feet. If I'm fishing a creek, I'm probably gonna have 3.5.
Well, I bet you that's nice getting your snags out.
What the
braid?
With the finesse lures that I use, usually just bend the hooks.
Yeah.
So if you get into something bad, like usually, but I'm using the EWG hooks, so typically I'm not getting snagged up too much.
Yeah.
But the Daiwa Tatula spinning rod is the rod I use right now.
Okay.
That one, and I also just got another Daiwa rod. They paired up with Evergreen. Have you heard of Evergreen?
Yep, we got some of those.
Do you have some at the? Okay.
Yep.
That combat stick.
Yes, sir.
Do you have the
camo
with the camo?
Yes, sir.
So
slick looking, huh?
Oh man, I got it out in the car right now. Actually, I brought it here because I was going to try to fish a spillway or something after.
There you go.
That's awesome.
But that's my setup right now. Sensitivity is extremely important, and quality and lightweight.
Yep.
Those things come with spending a little bit more money, but at the end of the day, you're going to be so thankful. Like carrying a 8-foot ugly stick probably weighs double, triple the weight, and when you're making hundreds of casts a day, you really start to notice a difference when you just use a little bit more quality material. But like I said, that stuff's getting cheaper as technology comes out.
So I used to be the guy that wanted the most expensive. And you want to know what happened to all that stuff?
Broke.
Shutting a car door.
Yeah.
Guides go flying off.
Yeah.
So I've learned throughout the years, if I pick something up and I like it, I don't even look at the price tag. Unless it's like $500, I'm not going to buy it. But I can tell you right now, I fish tournaments, I fish competitively, I want the best gear. I've got several rods that cost me $80.
Absolutely.
And same with reels, $100. You don't need to spend. I used to be that person. I want a $250 reel, and I want a $300 rod.
You fish from a boat.
Yeah.
So your rods are a little safer.
Yeah.
I'm fishing in a creek. I'm waiting all day, and the rod's in my hand. I don't even know. But
I'll tell you though, my
when I
stuff
slip
gets
and
beat
fall,
up.
does it really? I would think you got in a little safe space on your boat.
I don't see my boats. It's the rod locker's too short for my rods.
Oh, really?
So when I'm done fishing, they go in the back of my car.
Oh, okay.
So my stuff gets beat up. I try and take care of it, but naturally, somehow, some way, my shit gets broken somehow. So, but end of the day, you don't have to have the nicest of the nice. You get stuff you're comfortable with and that you like. That's what I do now. And when I break that rod, I don't feel so bad about it.
Oh, for sure.
So to wrap up the field, like the kit for a new angler on the creek, would you suggest like a bag or waders or?
Comes back to simplicity, man. When you want to go light, I grab just a bag and usually have 2 or 3 Plano boxes, couple soft plastics. And that's the thing I learned really quickly is bringing the whole garage with you doesn't really help you catch fish. Learn how to use a bait to the best of your ability. Learn what situations are best advantageous for you to catch fish. And just stick with that. Bring a bag, couple Plano boxes. Toilet paper is extremely important to bring with you, especially when you're on the creek for 10 hours.
Yep.
Never leave home without it unless it's during COVID.
Yeah, right. That stuff was hard to come by.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we'll lead into the 2 big questions. And
here we go.
The first one being Panoptix.
Panoptix.
I know you and Hunter might have a different opinion on Panoptix.
Opposing positions, huh?
Maybe. We'll see. What do you guys think about Panoptix?
You can go ahead, Hunter, because I'm coming from the perspective as someone who bank fishes primarily, kayak fishing here and there. So electronics is pretty much out of my forte, but Hunter uses a lot of technology, so I'm curious. What do you think?
I have mixed feelings about it. I will tell you I bought one. This will be my first year fishing.
And I'd love to go on the boat
I'll
and
let
try
you.
it.
Yeah, we're going to. We're going to. And then you'll be hooked. No, I'm just kidding. But no, man, it's changed the sport, especially when it comes to tournament fishing, completely. I mean, if you turn on MLF and watch these guys, they're fishing in the middle of the lake.
They're going to need neck surgery eventually.
They're watching the fish react to their bait.
That's wild.
And that changes everything. When you're fishing a creek, you can't see how, unless the water's really clear, you can't see how a fish is reacting to your bait. So these guys are offshore throwing jerk baits, and they can change their cadence mid-cast.
Yep.
And I feel like for me to be able to compete to the next level, I need to have it, and I need to learn it. And that's kind of the way electronics have been these past couple years, is you constantly have to upgrade and keep up with the field if you want to compete, because that's how it is. So I like it. I think it's going to be cool to have, but I think it's going to piss me off.
and that's one of the downfalls to Panoptix, right, is when you see that fish, he could be in the mood not to eat anything.
Yeah.
And you could be sitting there beating that fish up for a couple hours and never catch him.
100%. Or I can be in 40 foot of water and see a bass suspended and catch it on my first cast, which is amazing. But at the same time, it's just like, wow, I never thought this would have been possible. If you don't have that, you never would have caught that fish.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, maybe you could have graphed him and
so you
caught
attribute
him,
to all these people down in Texas catching all these double-digit bass that have never done it before.
Right.
And then everyone's like, man, this guy's the GOAT because he's got this many double digits.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
what was he doing before Panoptix?
At the end of the day, man, you still got to catch it.
Yeah.
But I am intrigued to see, especially on these share lunker lakes down in Texas, when these dudes start beating up these lakes doing that. I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on these fish, especially the big ones that suspend. It's going to change fishing. It's going to create a lot more pressure.
You're all of a sudden targeting a fish that wasn't really targeted before.
Exactly, and I think
this
that's
is
why
new technology. So it's like in 10 years, are people going to be?
I'm intrigued to see. I'm intrigued to see where it's going to go, because those fish were comfortable there.
Yeah,
suspended or wherever they're at.
Nobody was out in the middle of the lake targeting fish in 30 feet of suspended water.
Right. They may have been fishing a hump or something, but they weren't. They may have caught some of those fish, but they're not catching them to the extent that they are now. So, I don't know. It's changed the sport. I don't necessarily think it's a terrible thing. I'm more intrigued by it, and I'm intrigued to see where it takes the sport. So.
I'll be the first person to be like, I definitely want to try it and use it.
Yeah.
But my Panoptix has always been my eyes in the creek. I've always been able to watch fish react to baits, and that's another thing about creek fishing. In some rivers too, for example, the Great Miami River gets super clear in the summer, super low, and that's you're able to watch these fish in the creeks react to baits, and it's like I have my own Panoptix. It's pretty cool to watch fish react to different baits and presentations. But now that the boat anglers can go out there and have my same vision in 40 feet of water, those fish there's like not a safe fish in the water anymore. Like they used to have those wintering holes where they could just relax from all that pressure. Now they got these 8-inch trout swim baits swimming by their face. They're going to eat them. Or the umbrella rigs. Dude,
I'm telling you, man, it's going to change everything. The amount of pressure that is on lakes nowadays,
do you think
it's crazy.
Like, obviously looking from the outside in, right? I'm at the 35,000 view for what you guys have. In terms of your content, like obviously you're doing creeks and rivers, but if I'm Hunter or John Smith or whatever have you, and I'm doing content solely on lakes, do I say that I have it? Do people know that you have it, or am I just going to continue to? It's going to be interesting to see how do it for the gram, right? How many 10 plus fish are they going to pull up?
I think it boils down to your content that you're providing. If you're going out and creating the message that every time I go out and fish, even if I don't catch a fish, it's an amazing time, and that's how it is for me. But if you're one of those guys that's like, I'm a Panoptix 10-pound guy, I'm gonna go out and catch a 10-pounder.
You're definitely not doing that in Ohio.
No, and I'm not posting a video unless I catch a 10-pounder. It all depends on that.
Sure.
And I don't mean to answer the question.
No, please.
Anything, but that's kind of my take on it. I think it all depends. But in my situation, fishing tournaments and trying to get as big and as best as I can fishing tournaments around here, I think it's going to help me, especially if I travel and fish bigger tournaments. I think it's going to help me too. So,
do you think you foresee tournaments not having it?
Outlawing it?
Outlawing it?
Well, I already know some kayak trails outlaw Panoptix.
It will. I don't think on a national level it'll get outlawed. Like a big
because you still have your
bass.
hurdles you got to jump through. Like Hunter said,
there's going to be
earlier, you still have to catch the fish.
Yeah, there's going to be
still got to
local,
get to the boat.
Yeah.
There's
going to be local federations that don't want it, and that's fine. They're local; they can do what they want.
As if the fly fishing guys don't hate you already enough. now they just added another level of complexity to that.
It might get to that, and I'm not saying it's a problem. It's just it's changed everything.
Sure,
it truly has.
We just got to be conscious of that power.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Spider-Man movies, with great power comes great responsibility. Mm-hmm. And when you're hitting these fish on those holes that they're supposed to be relaxing in for the winter, and all of a sudden you're ripping them up out of 40 feet of water, and the barometric pressure and everything is just messing up their internals and their the systems that keep them alive.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it's definitely cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool technology to use.
I have two different views on it because I'm really excited to use it.
Oh, dude, especially for crappie fishing. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. But at the same time, it's like, how much more are these electronics gonna
change?
Gonna get out?
Will it even be fishing at a certain point?
I mean, if
I'm waiting for the VR goggles to come on.
I mean,
if you walk out on the front of your deck with your VR goggles
probably
on.
Prior to that, the biggest change for most hunting industries would just be online scouting.
Yeah,
right.
Because your secret spots aren't secret anymore.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I can get on and find you a spot in Oregon right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just think it's tough for a guy who, like in my position, wants to fish tournaments and go as big as he can go.
You have to keep up with everyone else.
You have to keep up with the technology, or mentally you're at a disadvantage. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying you have to have that to win a tournament, but it definitely makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So
moving on to the last and final question.
Here we go. That's another one.
We talked about it briefly before we started, but Fish Ohio, we'll just stick specifically in Ohio. So as far as records go, do you guys think that it ought to stay the same the way it is, or do you think they should split the record system between public and private bodies of water?
I 100% am for a separation. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to bring a lot more attention to the industry, get more people excited about fishing. Some of the southern states do it where they have lake records, and it just increases more participation from people to go out and try to get that lake record. That'd be so cool because we have records in Ohio that haven't been beat for decades, and some of them probably never will because they were fishing at a time when it was just different on the landscape and in the water. But I think a separation between public and private, I don't want to say this, but that's like counting high fence deer for records. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the same deal because I think I did the math. It's like 25 to 30% of our records are on private land. It could be higher, but like the largemouth bass, all these sunfish, these crappie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an exact comparison.
Yeah.
I mean, when we brought this up earlier offline, shooting a Texas buck as opposed to shooting a whitetail off of Dillon.
Yeah,
is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
It's
like the deer in Florida are way different than
exactly. I mean,
nobody goes to Florida to hunt a trophy whitetail. You know?
Yeah.
No, exactly not.
So my take on it, I want the people that catch that fish on a private lake to be rewarded. You know, I want them to have a record, but I think that.
But you can grow it. That's what's crazy.
Yeah,
you can grow
I think
these fish.
I think it's really hard. I want to separate it. I want to have public and private because I know there's probably fish in a lake in Ohio that are bigger than the state record, but I think they're a lot harder to catch in a lake as opposed to a private pond.
Yeah, because you have thousands of anglers going after towards the guy who's got a private pond.
Yeah, I think I would really like to see public water, biggest bass, biggest bluegill, biggest crappie,
public
catfish,
water records,
and then private waters. That way, each person is getting their recognition, and it opens up a lot more opportunity for people to try and catch a record, a state record. So that's my take.
Just think of like the economic impacts of like a region, like here in Central Ohio, you have Alum Creek, you got the Great Miami River, Southwest Ohio going up to the northwest. These people going there and trying to beat that record.
Right.
Yeah, you're adding pressure, but you're also bringing economic benefits to your local bait shops, your outdoor shops. Like if there was
gas stations,
everybody
hotels.
benefits when somebody comes to fish or travels to go fishing. For example, if like Alum Creek had a smallmouth, like all those records at Alum Creek, imagine having like your kid like catch like a Alum Creek record bluegill. That thing that will stick with you forever, and that'll just light that fire and ignite his passion even more. And yeah, you're going to have people competing and stuff, but saying that, be like, yeah, when I was a kid, I caught the Alum Creek record bluegill on this, and you can just go on and on. I just think the benefits, there's more benefits than, I don't know, downside to it.
I will say, I think it would be really, really, really cool to implement a per lake record.
Yeah,
it would be cool.
It would add pressure, but let's be honest, pressure's at an all-time high.
Yeah,
I think it'd be really cool to implement that. You know, it would bring some more people into the sport. You know, and it would motivate the people that already are in the sport to do it more. You know, and that just is going to stimulate.
And it'll eventually balance out. Like Alum Creek's going to grow only a bass as big as it can can get, right?
Yeah,
and every now and then somebody might kind of catch a giant, but yeah, definitely for sure.
Yeah. So
how would, I mean, that sounds great, but like, what kind of action steps that people can, like, is that something? I mean, Fish Ohio. Like, how do you? Is it change.org?
How do you
like,
implement this kind of?
Yeah. So I mean, is this through ODNR or is it what's it through?
It's ODNR, right?
Is it?
I think.
Yeah, ODNR has our state records. I'm pretty sure.
We'll have to look into that and maybe put it in the story notes or something.
I might get this person on. How do you guys talk about it?
That'd be cool.
Yeah, just talk about some sort of thing, because that's our initiative, right? Is to try to get as many people possible fishing.
Sure.
And just that would just add another level of excitement, I think. But yeah, whoever's in charge of that would be an interesting conversation to have. Yeah, and like I know Texas has the Share Lunker program, but that program down there is just lit a fire in those guys, those bass anglers, and everybody's excited about stuff like that. So I think that'd be extremely beneficial for the industry.
I agree.
Sweet.
So before we wrap up, I want to give you a chance to shout out your social media platforms and let everybody know where they can find you and follow you.
All right. Well, the Creek Crawler on YouTube. If you search up Ohio fishing or something, Ohio Creek fishing, I'm sure my videos will pop up there. Just hit my 4,000 subscriber mark, which is pretty cool, last week. So thank you for...
Yeah, congrats again.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah,
dude.
definitely, man. That's a huge accomplishment.
It's a lot of work. But I just started an Instagram like a couple years ago. Everyone had these Instagrams. I'm almost 33 years old, so I was like kind of new to it. And I still don't even know my way around that platform, but I try to get on there and post as much as possible. But the Creek Crawler on Instagram too is the same way you can follow me. But yeah, those are my two platforms for social media for my fishing stuff.
And we'll definitely put those in the show notes below too. So if you go ahead and take a look at the detail of this episode, we'll have all the links to those profiles for you as well.
Awesome. So, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, sir, you want to wrap it up?
Well, I just want to say thanks to both of you guys for stopping by. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, no problem.
Man, we could have made this episode like 4 hours.
No, seriously, this was
Trying
fun.
to-
You could
Yeah.
talk about stuff like this all day. You know, we got carried away a lot
But I thought it was great.
You ask one question and it leads to
Yep.
something else. So
Definitely.
no, I loved it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming. And Bryan, man, thanks.
I appreciate it so much, and everybody have a good weekend.
All right, everyone, that's all we have for you today. We hope you enjoyed that great conversation with Bryan and Hunter. We're getting closer to warm weather fishing, so hopefully you're able to get out soon. As always, we appreciate you listening. Please give us a rating and be sure to share us with a friend. It's only going to help grow our channel. And until next time, enjoy the pursuit.